Manor Lords is a new medieval city builder developed by Slavic Magic and published by Hooded Horse, and after years of waiting, it finally releases this Friday, April 26th. This is the first game made by this developer, and it's releasing into early access, which means there's plenty of development still to be done. But he started it all by himself, and he's done the bulk of the work since 2018. And although we don't know the exact price, it does, as of right now, have over 3 million wish lists on Steam, making it one of the most highly anticipated new releases of 2024. I have kindly had access to the game for a few weeks now. I've been playing quite regularly with multiple campaigns over dozens and dozens of hours, and so I think I've got enough experience to make a thorough review. In this video, I'll be talking about my experiences with Manor Lords, whether it's a challenging, replayable, and fun medieval city builder, and whether with all of that in mind, if it's worth buying on release. So let's get started. Set during medieval Europe with historical references from the 11th to the 15th centuries, Manor Lords provides a unique blend of in-depth city building and management, tactical real-time battles, and together with a visually stunning landscape that you can enjoy up close and personal in third-person view. The release will have 3 game modes and all played on one map, with Rise of Prosperity focusing on the resource gathering and city building aspects, Restoring the Peace, which adds some banditry and rival lords to fight battles against, and On the Edge, which is more of a survival mode where you build up and battle against multiple regular waves of enemy troops. Starting a campaign, you pick your lord portrait, customize your banner with a variety of different styles and emblems, which are really quite cool, and you begin in a random region of this map with nothing but some wood, food, and tools. You've somehow convinced 5 families to take a chance at a new life with you in the countryside, and so you need to start building houses for them, gathering berries and meat to keep them fed, and firewood to keep them warm, and slowly but surely build a self-sustaining village surviving in the wilds of medieval Europe. The landscape over time will change in seasonal effects, from summer green to autumn red, beautiful winter snowy white, and back to greenish blooming spring. And throughout, you get to experience snowstorms, hot, arid, sunny days, and you watch your people slowly move logs around, build with stunningly detailed animations, and eventually you go beyond merely surviving to start thriving in this lush environment. People are your true scarce resource, and you're constantly fighting against time to find a balance of keeping these people alive and happy and going down a particular production avenue to start making some tradable commodities. Maybe your first town is all about leather trading, so you need to build a tannery and have a steady supply of pelts from the local deer populations. Or maybe this town will be a weapons production center, so more people will be needed to mine some ore, get an active smelter, and then upgrade some level 2 houses to become blacksmiths to create spears and swords. From baking bread or having apple orchards or making wool out of sheep, there are plenty of different research paths to take, economies to play around with, and each with a varying degree of dynamic challenge and reward. All of this is the primary focus of Manor Lords. To me, it is the biggest strength of the game, and what you'll be enjoying the most. The fundamental replayable gameplay loop is the thousands or tens of thousands of different ways you can build up a village structurally and visually and create a thriving economy, and honestly, it's borderline addicting, especially if you're a fan of the medieval setting. From a small camp to a village to a large town, to enjoy each phase of it in third person for a moment, walking around the kilns, sheep pens, and manors, to expand into other regions of the map, engage in research, diplomacy, and trade, and then to occasionally defend it all against bandits or rival barons. It's seriously a fun and replayable experience. Now, with the Restoring the Peace and On the Edge game modes, you'll have to do all of this and deal with bandit camps, bandit raids, as well as rival barons who will claim other regions and limit your scope of expansion. Through a growing economy or through trade, you can get the recruits you need from the population and the equipment you need to create a small contingent of medieval soldiers. Between swordsmen, spearmen, halberdiers, bowmen, and your retinue leading the charge, creating an army takes a lot of resources and time, but when you do, it's really rewarding to see, and it's so fun to engage in actual battles. With larger battles, you can get some more support with mercenaries, and you'll have to really start paying attention to morale, fatigue, unit positioning, effectiveness, and other mechanics that can make battling your enemy quite a dynamic and challenging experience. It has to be said though, with the scope of the game in mind, the battles feel very much a secondary feature to the city building aspect of Manor Lords. They're very nice to have, don't get me wrong, but they are almost always small in scale of a few hundred men per side at most. The visuals and animations, the mechanics, they're all really great, but it's quite a limited experience tactically, I would say, because of this small scale, and because of the small number of unit types. Cavalry is yet to be added in the game. You don't have AI villages or towns to raid or destroy. There are no city walls, no siege equipment. You can't loot from enemy armies that have been destroyed. The foundation of battling is here, but it's clear there's still lots of work to be done to make it as engaging and dynamic as other features of the game. What I'm ultimately describing here is the early access nature of Manor Lords. The game feels very much still in development even after 7 years in the works, and that's okay. There's still so much to enjoy here, but it is worth mentioning that with early access, there are some features in the game that are not complete yet. So you'll see that the research tree has some locked texts that aren't unlockable at the moment. Diplomacy is quite limited with only a few options to choose from, and there are no dynamic messages or missions. There are no AI villages or towns, and your town is locked to level 3 houses, so you won't be able to build beyond that. Essentially, there is a definite ceiling to the game where you kind of stop progressing, but often I've found it's easy to start a new playthrough in a new region with a different approach in mind or different difficulty setting. So this aspect of early access is not as big a deal to me, simply because of how much there already is here to play and enjoy. Early access also means to a lesser degree that there are some bugs that can get noticeable and at times annoying, whether it's a pasture that's supposed to produce barley but instead visually is producing wheat, or a unit you've ordered to move somewhere that isn't moving. Occasionally you'll also get resources like planks or roof tiles that tick down even though they're not being used to build anything, and others. None of it is really at any time debilitating to the gameplay. Most of the issues I've experienced are visual in nature and not mechanical, but there are still issues, so it's worth keeping in mind. The good news is, despite all of this, I'm also not really worried about these bugs because the developer, Slavic Magic, is extremely invested in this area of game development, with both internal and external testing teams working on polishing and refining. It's clear that Manor Lords has gone through a ton of quality assurance, and they have already said that bug fixing will be the primary focus of post-release updates for a little while at least. So it's a big priority for them, which is really great to hear. You often get early access games that are riddled with issues, developers not interested in fixing them enough versus adding new content to get new players, and that's just not the case here, which fills me with a lot of hope and tells me that the game is in very good hands and has a very bright future ahead. And we do know that there is plenty more to come, with Slavic Magic in the past often talking about big stone towns and cities with walls, cavalry being a unit you can recruit and battle with. We've seen AI difficulty options in the menu. Different maps will get added eventually as well, hopefully with bodies of water, rivers, lakes, different biomes perhaps, and some more dynamic events and missions as well. All together with new commodities, new buildings, new everything. There's tons of opportunity here to expand the scope of the game. So as someone who's sold on it already, it's really just plain exciting to see where it might go next and how it might develop even further. Overall, Manor Lords is a really fun city builder that definitely clearly needs more development and work, but at its current state is very impressive and replayable. The city building core gameplay loop is truly well done with loads of beautiful buildings, construction animations, interesting ways to produce and trade commodities, weaponry and armor. I love the visual effects, the weather systems and seasonal changes of the landscape. It's really quite immersive, and it's honestly addictive to build this personalized medieval town with unique plot placements for houses, playing around with sheep and chickens, building a thriving economy, and engaging with research, development, policies, and even diplomacy. There's still plenty of polishing to do, but it's functional, and it's beautiful, and it's fun. And the military side of things looks and plays well too. Even if it feels like a smaller feature, you can still get armies into the hundreds of individual soldiers, you can still source or produce the equipment, customize retinue officers, and engage in battles that are quite heated and immersive. The pathfinding here could be a little better, there's definitely more to be done from a content perspective, but overall I really like what he's trying to do on this side of the game so far. I cannot wait to see how cavalry is going to be like, how larger cities will look like, and what siege gameplay might look like once there are city walls and gates, AI towns and cities, and big siege equipment like rams and trebuchet. There is so much potential here to expand the scope of medieval warfare, even if it isn't the primary gameplay loop of Manor Lords. Personally, I would give the game a solid 8 out of 10. Despite more polishing needed, unfinished mechanics, and more content to come, I just keep coming back to it to build a new village and enjoy this stunning medieval European landscape. The combination of city building with tactical battling, with this third-person view to enjoy it all in beautiful detail, is something I've never experienced before, and it truly sets it apart from other games in the genre. I want to explore more areas on the map, I want to battle rival lords for new territory, and I want to be a manor lord with a bustling town and a thriving economy, to go through challenges, to go through dynamic events, and to get invested in the game now to see where it will go in the future. Despite some clear issues and areas of improvement, I keep coming back to play, and that is really the best feeling you can get from a game. And that's it for today, guys. This has been my early access review of Manor Lords, and I've had the game for a few weeks now, playing a variety of campaigns, building up different types of towns, and battling with different armies, and I can honestly say this is a genre-defining game that's definitely worth buying. We don't know the price of the game at the moment, but whether it's $30 or $50, I would pay for it because, as I've said, I've been getting dozens and dozens of hours of fun and memorable gameplay, and if you're like me, then you probably will too. I really hope you enjoyed this review of Manor Lords and found it informative. If you did, give it a like and drop any thoughts or questions in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think about everything I've discussed here today and what you think about Manor Lords. Subscribe for more strategy game content just like this, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.